From the pages of MikeHuckabee.com, home of the totally free Huckabee newsletter, which is delivered twice daily to your email inbox, it's time for some deep state news amid pandemic pandemonium. In newly declassified footnotes from the Horowitz report, I said that the FBI would try to claim they were duped by the Russians, but that they actually weren't. And this week, we got hard evidence that if the Russians were feeding disinformation to former British spy Christopher Steele, who compiled the dirty Trump dossier, FBI agents knew it. In other words, there was no duping going on. Maybe of Steele, but not of the FBI. Remember those inaccuracies in the FBI applications for FISA warrants? The warrants that gave the FBI legal cover to surveil Trump campaign officials? Some of those inaccuracies could have come right from the Kremlin. You see, the FBI had been questioning Steele's value as a source since 2015 because of his multiple contacts with Russian oligarchs or their intermediaries. They knew full well that his intel could be shaky. They knew it could be Russian disinformation, and they used it anyway. And by the way, the FBI has declined to comment on the declassified footnotes. And we're also not hearing a whole lot from the screeching left, who told us for 3 years that President Trump was colluding with Russia. Turns out they should have been screeching in the direction of Jim Comey's FBI. Well, in a minute, we're going to answer some of your questions. But before we do, if you are enjoying this video so far, and I'm sure you are, consider hitting the subscribe button, then the notification bell, and of course, be sure and hit the like button below. Right now, Keith Bilbrey is standing by with some emails that have come to my2cents@tbn.tv. That's our mailbox. So, Keith, what you got?
Okay, get ready. Jim from Verona, Pennsylvania writes, "Hi, Huck. I love your show, and I feel you're a conservative Christian who loves Jesus. The problem I'm having is while everyone is on the front lines doing what they can to help, especially the doctors and nurses, you're hiding in your house. Why are you hiding?"
Hiding? Come on, Jim. I'm simply self-isolating. I'm doing what the government has asked me to do. Now, if I had a medical degree, maybe I'd go out to the hospital and I'd do something. But I found out it takes about 6 years to get a medical degree. So I'm hoping this quarantine doesn't last that long. But thanks for asking. And I'm still hiding.
Well, Eileen from Roanoke, Virginia is downright angry. "Mr. Huckabee, you should be ashamed of yourself. While hundreds of thousands of people around the world are dying, you're suing to use the beach. Really? Get your priorities straight."
Dear, let me say, get your news stories straight. I assume you must be speaking of things that have come out in the media. If you trust them, you got a whole bigger problem than me. Simple answer is this. I live on the coast of Florida. There are 1,200 of us along this coast whose backyards happen to be the beach. Now, the government closed the public beaches, and the county attorney said we don't have the right constitutionally to close the private beaches. A week later, the county commission came back and did it anyway. So the lawsuit was to establish that those of us who own property whose backyard is a beach should be able to use our backyard because everybody else in the county gets to use theirs. It's as simple as that. Not about using the beach. It's about using our own property and not being threatened with arrest if we set foot in our own backyard. I hope you think that's okay.
Well, Tom from Chicago asks, "So did this virus originate in a live animal market or a Chinese science laboratory? Struggling to figure out what's the truth and what's people online casting conspiracies."
I think we're all trying to figure out the truth. And right now, the truth is we don't for sure know. But increasingly, it does appear that this was not something that originated at the wet market. It appears increasingly, and I say appears because it's not been confirmed, but more likely this came out of one of the 2 level 4 biolabs that were located near Wuhan, China. And I think if we find out that it was sloppy work or even, God forbid, worse, intentional leaking of this virus into the population, China should be held accountable financially and in other ways. They should not be able to get away with shutting down not just the U.S. economy, but the global economy. We know that they've been cheating and stealing intellectual property, but this is worse than anything they've ever done. And we do know this. They have repeatedly lied about most everything related to it. I appreciate that President Trump says we'll get to the bottom of it, and we will not let them get away with it. Keith, what else we got?
Well, Amy at Gmail writes, I'm asking you to stop joking about Baptists purchasing and using alcohol. Alcohol use is destructive on many levels, giving good cause for the Bible to warn against its use. And many Baptists have a strong conviction to abstain.
You know, Amy, I think I made it very clear. I'm a teetotaler. I don't touch this stuff. Never drank, ever, not a drop. So it's not about trying to make it okay. I know some people it's not a problem with, and I let people do what they want. I suggest maybe, Amy, you realize that every now and then, in the midst of crisis and trouble, a sense of humor can go a long way to help. I found that a sense of humor is better for me than maybe taking on the sauce. It's just my way of coping. I hope it's not too offensive. And may I suggest, try a little laughter. Works wonders. Great medicine.
Well, we've got one more. Rosalind asks, she's on Gmail, by the way, why is Congress not working? Oh, I forgot. Only essential workers are working now.
Ooh, Rosalind, we love you. You have nailed it. What's for me to answer? You said it all. And you are so right. If Congress isn't working because only essential workers are working, we now know just how non-essential they really are. Thank you, Rosalind. And thank all of you. Remember, you can always get to me at my2cents@tbn.tv. And from the Twitterverse, where you can follow me at Mike Huckabee, a few shout-outs. Here's a shout-out to Attorney General William Barr for stepping up on the extreme overreach at the state level to suppress and limit the freedom of religion, while deeming many other nominal businesses as essential. And a big thanks to Sean Spicer for weighing in on the same issue, noting how strange it is that a drive-through liquor store is essential in the battle against the coronavirus, but drive-in churches are not. And people who go there must be ticketed and oppressed by officers of the law. Hopefully, we're not seeing reason brought into these decisions in various states, and our freedoms and rights as Americans won't be totally suspended and denied. Now, I know a lot of you out there are stuck in the house and learning to provide education to your children. Many of you taking on a new admiration for the commitment of homeschool parents. But for many of you, a shout out for sharing a smile over it rather than just pulling your hair out. Social media comments like these reveal the challenge. Here's one. If you see me walking to the mailbox talking to myself, ignore me. I'm just having a parent-teacher conference. Here's another. Yes, those are my kids outside crying and pulling weeds. They're on a field trip. I expelled one student, suspended the other, and fired the teacher for drinking on the job. Well, we all want to salute the parents who are trying to keep their kids' education on course. Perhaps this reminder from a teacher will help you through. To survive as a teacher, you need 3 bones: a wishbone, a backbone, and a funny bone. And until next time, these are the facts of the matter. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, be sure to leave a like, then subscribe, and hit the notification bell below. Now, if you didn't like it, you ought to find a Ben Shapiro video to detox you with more facts.